How you doing, everyone? It's Sandesh here. I'm going to be doing a video now. Sorry about that. This is about the FPGA PS1 that modder Taki Udon is making at the moment. It's pretty much like a consoleized PS1, but it's FPGA. And and this is incredible. I love this news, even though I've already got one. But I honestly didn't. And this is fantastic for the retro gaming community. Anyway, let's get into it now. I'm reading from Time Extension. Taki Udon is one of the leading figures in the world of FPGA gaming, and he's achieved that position in rapid time. The reason his MiSTer Pi project has shaken up the FPGA world by offering a truly affordable entry for players, and his next project, which comes as part of his retro remakes line, could have even more impact. Taki Udon is set to launch an FPGA console based on the PS1, while it will remain fully compatible with FPGA cores for other systems. The focus here will be offering a fresh take on Sony's classic system, and it will be compatible with PS1 controllers, memory cards, and via an optional dock discs. As always, we were keen to learn more about the system, known by its code names and SS1 and R2 1. And Taki Udon was kind enough to provide us with the information. This is where they did like a short interview. This is where they did like a short interview with him. They asked him, "What made you choose the PlayStation as your first console clone released under the Retro Remix brand?" He said, "Then Double S1, also known as R21, was supposed to be our second console. We started with the most complicated console first, our flagship console, but that ended up stalling everything else in the pipeline, so we moved up our second release. As for why the PS1, this product was originally supposed to be created in 22 with my previous company, but it didn't end up happening. It was the first console I knew I would make with retro remakes." They asking, "Can you give us some insight into what makes this such a different prospect from, say, the MiSTer, the PI, or MiSTer?" He's replies, "The goal of the console was to remove as many barriers to entry as possible when it comes to using MiSTer FPGA. We do this to some extent with our MiSTer PI Turbo Pack, but this console incorporates many things that are not possible with the standard triple stack. These are things like various analog these are things like various analog video outputs without the need for a dongle, integrated Wi-Fi, Bluetooth without a dongle, integrated um, SNAC ports without a dongle, and so on. There are still things that a MiSTer Pi can do that the console can't, like jammer support, but this should be more than enough for the general user." They ask him, "You've put a lot of effort into making sure the Double S is compatible with original PS1 accessories, controllers, and memory cards. What was the hardest thing to get right?" He replies, "For some accessories or controllers, it has been very challenging to track down parts that we need to verify functionality. A few weeks ago, I was trying to buy a PS1 mouse to make sure it didn't have any issues. There was only a single one on the market in all of China." They ask, "Will the Double S one use the exact same UI as the MiSTer, or are you creating something different given the PS1 focus?" He replies, "This comes down to user choice, since the hardware is designed to work as is with official MiSTer FPGA software. It's also a difficult topic to talk about because a lot of people feel very strongly about not making modifications to the MiSTer UI, which I totally understand. I do not want to be in a situation where we end up forking the community. This is the main reason why MiSTer PI was our first FPGA product and not a console. But there are some situations or some specific cause where that may be unavoidable if the changes aren't accepted upstream. Personally, I think an alternative UI option should exist for those who want it. If people want us to do, then we will. They ask, how will the original media work on the double S1? He replies, I'll answer this question more broadly because this is not the only console that we have in development that supports original media. Since we can't work on the assumption that the end user will always use the specific version of the software that we may or may not create to support features that don't exist in the MiSTer ecosystem. We start from the point of how can we accomplish what we need on existing cores. For cartridge-based systems that have built-in saving functionality, you wouldn't be able to do more than dump your cards or run them off memory without significant hardware changes. It's possible to have your save files sent directly to the dump cartridge, but the process is somewhat convoluted. So, without forking the core and making significant changes, cartridge support will be far worse than an actual console, even if it might be enough for most people. And he also carries on, sorry, the PS1 is a bit different, and thankfully, saving games is a split from the media, and our S and AC ports give us the direct ability to load and save games without needing to use cartridge-based workarounds. That just leaves you with how to handle the CD itself. On a stock core with a stock system, it is possible to store your games on an internal SSD via a simple process. Whenever you use that CD in the future, the stock system will call the store backup and load the game without you needing to do anything. In both console situations, software revisions, in some cases substantial, are required to make the experience more authentic to real hardware. The changes that we have to make are almost certainly not going to be accepted by the main branch, but it's unavoidable. We at least have workarounds for an end user who wants to stay on stock MiSTer software. They ask, could we see other retro remake projects that replicate systems like the Saturn and N64 in the future, in the same way the Double S does with the PlayStation? He replies, yes, this is possible, but it will have to come after our cartridge-based system is done. That one is a bit older than those two. They ask, the Double S one is naturally going to be compared with some of the analogs products, which also use FPGA tech and are clones of existing classic systems. How do you feel the Double S one shapes up against those devices, and is it even fair to compare them? He replies, I don't think it is a fair comparison. Except for the Pocket, analog sells in closed source consoles that do one thing, even if the hardware can support more. All of our consoles and handhelds can run multiple cores from day one, with support from loading ROMs from an SD card without having to wait for a jailbreak. We also have a built-in analog output, which is noticeably absent from the other consoles. They ask, projects like the Double S one represent a big step up for you as a manufacturer, requiring not only an understanding of internal hardware development but also external case design and packaging. How has your company evolved over the past year or so to accommodate these fresh challenges? He replies, this console is a step up from MiSTer PI, but it is simple compared to the flagship console. That thing is incredibly complicated. For Double S1, we have 3 mechanical engineers working on the console and the dock. We will probably hire more to work on our expanded roadmap. They ask, where do you see retro remakes in, say, 5 years? He replies, that's kind of difficult to say. If you ask me where we'll be now last summer, I would have been completely wrong. Wherever the company is, I hope I'm having fun. They ask, you never made any secret of the fact you're working on more than one thing at any given time. Are you able to give us any hints of what your next project will be? He replies, after Double S1 is done, we will move on to the MiSTer handheld. However, it is possible that the flagship console will wrap up development between the two projects since it started first. That's it for the FPGA product line. Super 7 is our next DIY project, which is a 7-inch screen and shell replacement for the original Switch. Um, yeah, and I gotta say the look of the look of it just looks incredible. I like the fact that it's compact as the when the PS1 came out, the when they redesigned it, and and I like the fact that it just looks so neat and tidy. And I like the fact that it's gonna have like stuff like USB-C on there. I'm wondering if the USB-C is gonna be the power output. It probably sounds like it probably will be, but as far as like the retro gaming community that likes PS1, I think this is just incredible news, because if you're in the market for a PS1, this is pretty much going to be not only affordable, but you won't have a problem. You won't have a problem getting one, because the thing is that way. Because also, what's also good about this, for what's going to be on this, as far as like HD output or whatever, it would have costed you probably a lot more for a souped up for the stuff that's in this on an original PS1, where this is going to be for. I think at most it's going to be like $200, but honestly, $200 for the sort of stuff that's going to be on there, I honestly thought it was going to be more expensive than that, and I'm actually shocked that it's not. And as I said over and over again, it's really good for the retro gaming community. I love the idea, even though I don't need one. I still think it's a big win personally. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.